On Cannabis Helps Dementia podcast, we learn from leading professionals and others on the front lines of senior care.
Dr. Dustin Sulak, renowned integrative physician, founder of Integrate Health and Healer.com.
When it comes to cannabis or cannabinoids and dementia, I think even though the clinical evidence that's published in the scientific literature is limited, it's almost universally favorable. I know there was one study that was using, I think, just 1 or 1.2 milligrams of synthetic THC that didn't have really impressive results, and that's probably because the dose was too low. But everywhere else, a study of 15 people here, a study of 40 people there, we're all pretty much seeing the same thing, which is, global improvement. It's not just improvement in one thing, but it's really all across the board. Symptoms improve and quality of life improves.
President of the American Cannabis Nurses Association and geriatric nurse practitioner Eloise Thiessen is a frequent presenter at CanMed. We spoke with Eloise about her experience using cannabis for age-related illnesses and particularly for people living with dementia.
Early on, I was recommending CBD as a treatment for the anxiety in my dementia patients who were female. And I'll never forget this story. The daughter had durable power of healthcare, and she'd come in with her mom, and I said, okay, I want you to go to the dispensary and I want you to get this. And it was, CBD edible. It was from cannabis. It wasn't a hemp-derived CBD product. And she goes to the dispensary, and the dispensary staff was like, no, you need a 1-to-1, really tried to talk this woman into something else. And, I got on the phone. I said, thank you very much. I'm confident in what I'm doing. And I'm going to go ahead and have her get her CBD. Well, lo and behold, she gets the CBD edible, and the facility administers it to her, and it makes her anxiety worse, to the point where she was screaming and yelling, and she had this worsening of symptoms.
Oh, no.
The facility wanted to throw her out as a result of it. It was so disruptive. And, the daughter was such a good sport. She called me up and she said, well, that didn't work. What do you think I should do? And I decided to just try THC because I was concerned. We do see reports that CBD in very low doses can be stimulating.
Right.
And some people have reported, increase in anxiety with low doses of CBD. They've reported agitation, kind of feeling, like they're have too much caffeine. So I decided to try just THC, very low dose, 2 milligrams. The facility dispensed that to her, and within 2 days I got a call from the daughter. My mom is a completely different person. I can actually take her out now for meals and go out in public. She's calm, she's smiling, she's engaging in conversation. I mean, she wasn't, she didn't have this remarkable recovery from her dementia, but her quality of life was greatly improved.
Yeah.
And
on
then
just a couple of milligrams, even.
Just 2 milligrams.
How many times a day?
In this particular woman, it was twice a day. And sometimes it's once, sometimes it's 3 times a day.
Amazing.
It was really remarkable to see a dose low enough to not cause any adverse effects and just benefits.
Sherry Afai, MD, is a cannabis and board-certified emergency medicine physician at Providence St. John Medical Center since 2009. Dr. Sherry is also a board member of the Society of Cannabis Clinicians. She provides education and lectures to physicians, and currently about 50% of her practice consists of seniors.
My oldest patient is roughly 99 to 100. And a lot of people are like, can you use it when people are that old? Yeah, you can. It's the same idea. We're using this to help them, not to hurt them, right? We're helping move their arthritic pains along so that they can move better and faster, so that they can go out and get that good, healthy exercise in and see the sunlight. The patient is about 80 something. She lives in an assisted living facility. She moved to Los Angeles from the mid United States area, and a bit of that upheaval, and part of it was because she was starting to go through some of the dementia and more aggressive dementia symptoms and couldn't be alone in her own home anymore. So when she moved to Los Angeles, some of that upheaval created some problems. And so she was having some insomnia as well and wasn't getting along with caretakers. We started her with a hemp CBD product during the daytime and added it in a THC product at night. And that's where I find some of the edibles to be very helpful because they last a lot longer through the night. She started kind of changing her tune a little bit. And what we did was we started slowly adding in some THC during the day as well. So I believe ultimately she's on a 4-to-1 product. So it's a mixture of CBD and THC during the day and a THC product or a THC dominant product at night. And what you'll see in the videos is her dancing and singing. And that's, she plays with music that brings her joy in the afternoon, and she'll get up and dance and sing with her daughter. And she'll, the best part of her shines through.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're looking for. So it's really a testament to the medicine. We're seeing research studies coming out of Germany talking about how THC specifically given to dementia-induced mice delay that onset of dementia, and not just delay, but they do better for the longer period of time. Whether it's behavioral, so aggressive behavior that we see with a lot of older adults going through dementia and Alzheimer's, whether it's sleep disorders, insomnia, frequent wake-ups, they're not as active during the day, they get up a little bit more frequently at night, and then that's the vicious cycle that continues. And we know, by the way, that sleep is incredibly helpful for prevention of dementia. So that's one thing we know, right? Very clear. So if we can get people to sleep better, then maybe we can help kind of delay a little bit more of that onset. And then there's the other aspect. Could this even be helpful, right? Just for the actual disease state itself.
We met Stephen Barbieri in Sacramento right after my mom passed, when we went to lobby the assembly with a large advocacy organization asking our electeds to be bold and fund more research for dementia.
Known as a kickmaster, Stephen spent 4 decades in Taekwondo with a rank of master's level, and eventually was diagnosed with chronic traumatic encephalopathy from repeated head injuries. Using CBD and THCA, the non-intoxicating raw form of THC, Stephen seems to be living and thriving with CTE since 2012.
We spoke with the Kickmaster and his wife Tracy for the podcast about how they got started with cannabis medicine.
I'll actually let my wife tell the story, because when I grew up, I didn't drink, I didn't smoke, I had never done drugs. I don't know if you want to say a square or whatever, it wasn't my type of lifestyle. So when Tracy was mentioning, let's try, well, she was saying pot. She wasn't using the word cannabis. Let's try pot and this. And I'm like, no. And that went on for literally, I think, almost 2 years. Pushing. Finally, she says, you like the research thing. So why don't you do some research and stuff? I'll talk about it later. And I'll let her finish the story.
So things had gotten a little heated. Stephen's emotions were kind of all over the place. That aggression with his type of dementia was starting to really affect our marriage, affect our life here. And I was at school one day and I was very upset because of his behaviors had gotten, I wanted him to be on kind of some mood stabilizer, something. And I had even called the doctor on my own in tears and said, I need some help, and she said, well, he has to be willing to take these mood stabilizers, and he was not willing, because one of the number one side effects with CTE is suicide. Most of the mood stabilizers, their side effects are suicide.
Yeah.
So I was talking to a friend at school, and he uses CBD. He said, listen, just get him to try it, see how it works. Just please, I know this is going to help him. Here's some research. So he gave me a little bit of things. I, brought them home to Stephen. Can you just research this? Just try it, because it's either you try the CBD or you do the mood stabilizers, or we can't live like this.
Yeah.
One of us is gonna go.
Yeah.
We don't want to break up our marriage over this, but this is bad. So he researched it and finally was willing to go. We went to the dispensary here in town, and we spoke with a gentleman who has the same exact diagnosis as Stephen.
I would come home from the gym or from boxing, I would put the CBD underneath my tongue before I got into the shower. And my dosage that ended up working for me. I started with the 500 milligrams of CBD with 0.3 of THC. And the reason they explained about the 0.3 of the THC is so that it would cross into the brain barrier. It allowed it to cross in, and then it's mixed with MCT, which is the coconut oil, because it's an oil to get through the body. We started at the 500, and then over time, I think the last couple of years or year or so, I moved up to 1,000 milligrams still with the 0.3 of the THC. And I just take about 3/4 of an eyedropper underneath my tongue. And it basically just, I used to say, it just levels me out and keeps me vanilla. It used to be every single day around 2 or 2:30, like a cell phone, my personal battery would die in a sense of my brain. I was like overstimulated, too much going on. I literally had to go into a dark room and take a nap every day for an hour, sometimes 2 hours. I was just exhausted. Well, since I've taken this, for me, I don't have to take that nap any longer, which now means at bedtime, I'm more sleepy. Whereas, as you know, with most people with dementia, they have broken sleep. So that's why earlier we were saying I like to research, because I would be up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning. And what was I doing? I was always on the computer trying to educate myself on what I could do and what I needed to do and what were some of the things out there. So this gets me through the day. But again, at nighttime, I still have problems about sleeping. So I have something called THCA. And so I take it out every night before bed, and I take just about a half of it, 1/3, probably close to a half of an eyedropper of this, and a Sensei Chew chocolate that's got some CBD and melatonin in it. And I get a good 7 to 8 hours worth of sleep now. And because I don't have that broken sleep at night, I'm more functional during the day. The medication that the doctors give you, I believe there's only 5 dementia medicines out there. All of them have terrible side effects. And sometimes the side effects are worse. So if you're already having hallucinogenic situations, all of these medicines, that's another side effect. So all it does is increase that hallucinogenic. I used to see a shadow guy in my room at night. And when I got off the Aricept and I moved to the CBD, that shadow guy has gone.
Not going to cry. I will say 100% it saved our marriage. Because without it, the mood swings, the aggression that was there from his disease was not tolerable for us as a family. And with the cannabis, with the CBD, that is gone. There's a lot of stigma. That's the problem. And I think people need to get away from that, because this works. And I would much rather Stephen is on something natural, something beneficial that I know is not going to have those side effects. And his mood, I'm not kidding you guys, it's 100%.
Registered nurse Dan O'Brien has been the wellness director at Primrose Engaged Living in Santa Rosa, California for nearly 10 years.
Dan gave us his thoughts on how cannabis helps every resident that's using it.
We also had, at that time, one particular case of a person with significant behavioral complications who required actually a large amount and variety of medications, prescription medications. And I discovered that almost everything that she was getting was ineffective without the use of cannabis as a kind of like a floor to put under it all. That alone, it's only an anecdotal story, but basically everything that we're working on here is kind of based on just our history and our experience. There's no question in my mind that cannabis and its various formulations that we've used here has been quite effective.
Dr. Bonnie Goldstein is medical director of Canna Center's Wellness and Education in California and author of Cannabis is Medicine.
Again, there are the doubters out there. This is what I'm going to say. Your cannabinoid receptors, the most widespread receptor in the brain. It's just about everywhere. Where is it not? It's not in the part of your brain that can turn off your breathing. So if you take too much opioid, you stop breathing and die. Hence the opioid crisis that we're having. Okay, but the cannabinoid receptors are not in that part of the brain. These receptors are just about everywhere. And that is why you can get pain relief, anxiety relief, depression relief, better sleep, better appetite. Think about all of those things. That's kind of what your cannabinoid system controls. It just absolutely helps with all of these kind of like baseline daily quality
Immune.
of life issues. Your immune system.
It's all
of
over the
course.
white blood cells, right? It's,
And
I mean,
your,
they're,
and your gut.
yeah, and your
All
gut.
over your gut. And the
Yep.
gut, think about, you know, and there are still people not being taught this, but the microbiome and the way your gut works to interact with the food that you eat is critical for brain health.